and Dan Savage, OrlandoMagic.com.
Cliff, as you reviewed the film last night, what were you pleased with your group, and what will you look to improve upon when you face them again on Tuesday?
Yeah, I thought our half court defense was good. Once we got it set, we have to do better, against the double teams of Vooch, our execution, our spacing. Again, 18 fast break points, some of those were turnover driven. And then, obviously the rebounding game where the second chance points were, 12-3, I believe. So, those are the things today, to be honest. That game was very physical last night. Both teams are tired. And the first thing when we got into the office here after the game, where the coaches are like, we got to be careful tomorrow. So literally guys are lifting, doing treatment, doing some light shooting. We just did a film session and walked through a couple things. And we need energy for tomorrow because they're a hard playing team and they're hard to play against.
Josh Cohen, OrlandoMagic.com.
Hey, Coach. What has made MCW so impactful on the defensive end these last several games? And what are those key strengths that has sort of turned the defensive, side of the ball around?
Well, he's, in terms of individual defense, to me, he's elite. He's terrific. He's had games here, as you guys know, where he'll guard a forward, he'll guard a point guard, within the same game. And he has the ability to both contain the ball and create offense with his defense. And then he's a terrific pick and roll defender, which is so important for any guard. But what he gives us the ability to do is he can guard always, a primary scorer. And when you have a guy like that, it makes everything easier for everybody else. Plus, his team defense is very good also.
Philip Rossman-Reich, Orlando Magic Daily.
Obviously, the team's won the last 3 games, but especially the last 2 games, there's been a little bit of a scoring imbalance where, Evans had to have season highs. Vooch is scoring 35 plus points. Terrence has had to score a lot of points. What do you have to do to find maybe better offensive balance to make sure other players are getting involved, and how much longer do you feel like you can ride kind of this wave from Vooch and Evan especially?
Well, no, for sure. I think that finding other ways to score, it's a fine line, right? There's an old coaching axiom that says your biggest responsibility offensively, other than having a system, is getting your 3 best players better shots than the other team's 3 best players get. And, basketball is a game where whoever has the best offensive player on the floor at that time always has a big advantage. Doesn't matter. My dad used to say that for years, watching him as a high school coach. They used to meet in our living room and he always said it. This year, we're going to have the best offensive player. We're good to go. The years when they didn't, it's a problem. There's only 5 guys out there. So what you need to be able to do, though, as I agree with you, is you got to be able to get the ball to your best players in places where they can either score or draw help, create help. And then you have to have the spacing and decision making to play off those situations. And, we're going to need that. We've got to find, ways, to do that and get those 4th, 5th scorers, as we go along here.
Dan Savage.
Cliff, amidst the losing stretch, you kind of preached that if your group held together, as you guys got guys back, you'd have opportunity. Now, after winning 3 games in a row, you're only a few games out of the 4th spot in the East. Is that kind of what you were referring to in this type of season, that the opportunity would be there if your group held together?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing, and I think look at the scores every night, right? This league is so different than it would be in a normal year. Teams will be playing great, and then they'll, lose to a team you wouldn't think would beat them by double digits, or, look at Detroit's record, and yet in terms of quality of win, they're number one in the NBA in whatever it is, strength of wins, right? They've beaten LA, they beat Boston twice, they beat Phoenix, they beat Miami, they beat Brooklyn. And you can see watching them play how it happens. They're hard playing, and they're difficult. I mean, he's a very good coach, and they're super disciplined at what they do at both ends of the floor. So that's the first part of it. Is I do think it's a different year. The second part, though, and the more important part, is that to me that's what the NBA is the NBA is all about having a way to play, which you have to find as guys get hurt. That's the trick, because you have to, like Philip said, you might have to find more guys that can score. You might have to find another way to create offense with defense or whatever it is. But it's all about getting better as the year goes on, for teams like us. I mean, that's the whole key. Our guys understand that, and I think it's what they're good at. And they also know that, look, a week ago, this was part of the conversation this morning. 1 week ago today, we flew in here at 5:30 a.m. or whatever it was, 5 a.m. after a 1-3 road trip, which I actually felt good about. Okay. And 7 days later, we feel a lot better about ourselves. Now, we've had the right approach. We've hung in there and we fought, but the reality is it can go sideways quick too. So this thing is always the same. You need to be right here, have good days, get ready to play, and only worry about the next game. And if you do, and if you have the right attitude, you can make progress. Obviously, the trick in our league, because of all the elements of, coaching these kind of guys, is if people can't handle frustration or disappointment, you have no shot. So that's one thing I think our group understands. It's all about making progress, and but they do understand tomorrow is a big game for our team. This is going to be tough. Like I said, they're hard to play against, and it'll be a big test.
Josh Robbins, The Athletic.
Cliff, Iron asked you about MCW's defense, but how valuable has he been just in terms of his know-how, organizational know-how as a natural point guard?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think you guys can see since he's been back. I mean, we've, and the other part of it is too, and they both did a good job, but, like we played Dwayne and T. Ross were playing at the point about, close to 18, 20 minutes a game. And so, although they did a good job and, we weren't turning the ball over or anything like that, you don't get the same, obviously, organizational ability that you do with somebody like Mike.
All right. Thank you for your go. One more question. Dan Savage, OrlandoMagic.com.
Cliff, just wanted to check, how did your group make it through last night's game? Was everybody, healthy that was healthy prior?
I think so. Lindsay, I'll meet with Lindsay this afternoon, and but I saw you guys might have seen Evan got stepped on there and turned his ankle, but I spoke with him and he said he's fine. And then it's just the other guys, those guys, it's going to be kind of a daily thing just to make sure that we either stay with the same minutes or, they can go up a little bit, but I don't think there were any serious injuries.
All right. Thank you for your time, Coach.